Curvy 3D head sculpting tutorial. I'm going to load up a classic Loomis sketch for my background, and I'm going to put this in the left view for the side of the head, and the front view same picture. But the way I designed the picture, it has the head right along the centre line of the image. That means when I load it in, the head will be on the centre line of my grid as well, which is very helpful later on when we're lining things up. I'm also going to turn on overlay background. That means that when we draw, we'll be able to see through to what's underneath. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is a lathe object to represent the rough shape of the head, ignoring the neck. I'm going to turn off the grid as well. There we go, so that's our rough shape of the head. Now I'm going to define the front side with another line of the lathe. Again, only roughly, this is to get the approximate size. Smooth it a few times. Smooth that curve a few times. It does help if the original shape is quite smooth. Now notice it's fattened out around the side there. We can try and tweak that a bit, but it's easiest just to tweak later once it's a 3D model. Ah, yes. Okay, so at the moment we've drawn one curve on the side. If we turn on symmetry, it's going to apply that curve to both sides. Use the widget tool to fatten that out a bit. And reduce the height, because most of that is actually meant to be hair rather than skull. Okay, there's a rough head object. I'll draw in the neck, but I'm not so concerned about the shape of that at the moment. Okay, there's a rough head. Just for reference, I'm going to put in a shape for the ear, just so I have some sort of placeholder for where that's going to go later. Move that out to the side, rotate it. Just so we've got a handle on where those are. I might also sketch in an eyeball. Again, it's just a bit handy to have as a reference. course we can't see this eyeball yet because it's under the skin, but when we select it, select the eyeball, you can see there's a bit of a blue outline, so we can see where it's going to be. I'll just copy that as well. Okay. Now I'm going to convert this into a mesh and start sculpting it, but before I do that I'm just going to have a quick save. There we go. Okay, so let's start pushing in where that eye is. So I've selected the sculpting tool. I can select the size with control. And you see as we're pushing in to where that eyeball is. Let's sculpt where the I can see the planes are going to be. I've got a very delicate brush at the moment. Let's move in for the nose. For the nose, I'm going to select an area with the brush. And soften that up a bit. And then do a simple pull with the widget tool. Do a move. Rotate, and then a move. So I'm just roughing out the general shape of it at the moment, because we're going to do a lot of sculpting into this later. So we use smaller and smaller brushes. Okay, this whole region is sort of right, but it's a bit too high. So I can use the widget move tool to drag that down a bit. Across a bit. Now that area's got a bit messy, so let's smooth it up. Now at any point we can switch to the mesh view. And you notice that the mesh is being subdivided where we're sculpting. Possibly too subdivided near the eye. So I'm just going to select an area near the eye and reduce the mesh density. There we go, much more even mesh. We'll get back to that later. Okay, I just need to flesh out that nostril a bit. The inflate tool sort of rounds things off as it works. So if you use it enough, it'll also actually create sort of creases near to where you're working. So for instance, we could use the inflate tool on the cheekbone to round that off a bit, and perhaps on the chin as well, to define that line some more. Okay, similarly the deflate tool pushes see if we can get some lips going. And then we need to pinch. Push. So while I'm drawing in the front view, I'm actually looking in the top view up here to see how it's working. I think we're ready to do a mirror. And just save. And then mesh, mirror. So you can see we've got some deficiencies with the mesh, but also it's coming together a bit. Just get rid of any nastiness down the centre line. Let's do some bold moves. Adjust the whole chin section. Shrink the nose. One thing you can also do is sculpt and pinch at the same time. And this gives you a way to, oops, want to sculpt down and pinch. A way to make quite nice creases quite quickly. And that can also be used on the top to sort of square off shapes. So for instance, if you wanted to have a square jaw for some reason, so that's quite good for stylized faces. If you want to sort of sharpen off shapes like the jaw. I want to do a bit more work on this nose. This is where we notice that the two shapes really don't line up that well. Let's use that same tool on the forehead to create an eyebrow line. And use it with a softer effect on the forehead to sort of add some planes to the face. The smooth tool tends to reduce and flatten. We also have a flatten tool which can sort of define the planes again. So if you want to have more sort of stylized shapes. Okay, that's too strong, so let's just reduce the intensity. The larger a brush is, the more intense it is. Okay, let's have a bit of that. Okay, I'll just try adding on the neck. So select those two objects. I'm going to join them. Nope, I'm not going to join them. Sorry. I'm going to weld parent. No. I'm going to parent the neck, sorry, add the neck as a child, and then I'm going to weld parent. This should remove the seam where the neck touches the weld to parent, so we need the child selected, and then we can weld to parent. Okay, it's welded to parent and it's given us this selection line. Let's just smooth that up a bit, deselect, and now the neck is joined on. Now I'm going to use those same push and pinch tools just to add these lines of definition. So that was a pull and raise, you want to pull and pinch. And you find that you get a lot of value for money from these tools. They add a lot of interesting shapes quite cheaply, quite simply. Okay, the final bit I'm going to attempt on this head is the ear. So I'm going to select my ear and hide it. Then I'm going to go straight in and start just painting on where that ear should be with my paint tools. So I'm going to turn off the pinch for the moment. Block out, this is roughly where the ear is going to be. And more definition, this is where the sort of lip of the ear is going to be. There's a sort of arc inside there. Yep. Add a bit more pinch. Then if we get a bit of an angle on the ear, we can pinch round underneath where it's going to be. Then finally we want to sort of select all of the ear area. And pull it out of the mesh. Not too far out though. And once again we can probably want to smooth first and then pinch in that angle there. To add some cut. And this area here we want to flatten off and smooth back into the head. Also this area too, a bit wrong. Looking at the wireframe behind the ear here, we actually want to sort of really reduce, which helps it soften up. Well, that's a rough idea, giving you an overview of the tools you can use to make a head. One last mirror. There we go. Simple head from a couple of reference images. And you can go into as much detail as you like after this with the sculpting tools.